"Hunter, you don't belong here." Her words cut through the applause like glass. In the middle of a luxury ballroom glowing with gold chandeliers and flashing cameras, Olivia Caldwell, the rising star of Toronto's design world, tilted her glass and poured red wine onto her husband's face. Gasps rippled through the crowd of investors and reporters as crimson streaks ran down his collar. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't even flinch. He just looked at her, calm, steady, dangerous. No one in that glittering room knew the truth. The quiet man she just humiliated owned the very company about to sign her $800 million deal. What followed wasn't revenge, it was revelation. What would you do if the person you loved most shattered your dignity in front of the world? Stay until the end to find out what happens when silence becomes power. Backhand index pointing right, like this video and subscribe to Canada's Heartfelt Tales for stories that remind us, pride always comes before the fall. The ballroom never forgot the sound of that glass. It hit the marble floor and shattered, echoing through the glittering hall like a sentence being handed down. Hunter stood there, motionless, his face dripping with wine, his silence louder than every gasp that followed. The guests, men and women in tuxedos and gowns, shifted in their seats, unsure whether to look away or watch the humiliation unfold. Olivia didn't blink. Her lips curled into a fragile smile, the kind that hides fear behind pride. Cameras kept flashing. Somewhere, a news anchor would call it the moment ambition turned cruel. But for now, it was just one woman's triumph collapsing into chaos, and she didn't even know it yet. Hunter took a single step back, wiped the wine from his cheek with a folded handkerchief, and looked straight at her. His voice, calm and deliberate, carried through the room, understood. 2 syllables. Quiet. Unforgettable. Then he turned and walked away. The crowd parted like water around him. His footsteps were steady, echoing down the marble corridor, fading beneath the chandeliers. Olivia laughed too loudly, her nerves cracking beneath the performance. He gets emotional, she said to no one in particular. Success overwhelms him. But the applause didn't return. The air felt heavy, brittle, the kind that warns you right before a storm. Outside, under the glow of the hotel's street lamps, Hunter pulled out his phone. The night smelled like rain and cold steel. His reflection looked back at him through the glass doors, damp, calm, and strangely certain. He pressed the first number. "Pierce," came the voice on the other end. "Terminate the contract," Hunter said. "Yes, sir." "Effective immediately." "Announce it tonight." He hung up, scrolled, dialed again. "Hayes speaking. Withdraw all Black Elm Capital funding from Caldwell Design Group. Every account. Every subsidiary." There was a pause. "Yes, Mr. Caldwell." He slipped the phone into his pocket, took a breath, and looked back toward the ballroom windows. Inside, she was still glowing under the lights, unaware her empire had already begun to fall. By the time Hunter reached his car, the orchestra had switched to a slow jazz number. Inside the ballroom, Olivia basked in what she thought was victory. Investors lined up to shake her hand. Reporters called her a visionary. She felt unstoppable, until a whisper began moving through the crowd like smoke. Phones lit up. A man in a charcoal suit walked briskly toward the stage, his expression pale. He leaned toward the host, whispered something urgent. The music faltered. Cameras stopped flashing. "Ladies and gentlemen," the host stammered, "we've just received notice from Trident Infrastructure Holdings. The contract signing has been suspended." The word hung in the air like frost. Olivia's pen froze midair. "What did you say?" she demanded. "I'm sorry, ma'am." The directive came from the top. Executives began checking their phones, murmuring to each other, confusion spreading in ripples. The warmth of the room vanished, replaced by dread. Her assistant stumbled toward her, clutching a phone. "Olivia." Black Elm just pulled all funding. Every line of credit. Every investment. Her heart sank. That's not possible, she whispered. They said the decision came directly from the director's office. The host cleared his throat, eyes darting away. Perhaps we should take a short break. But there was no break left to take. Her world was already breaking apart. In less than 5 minutes, the ballroom that had felt like her throne turned into a graveyard of deals. Chairs scraped. Executives gathered their folders and left in silence. Cameras kept clicking, not for celebration now, but for scandal. Her voice trembled as she shouted after them, "Wait. You can't just walk out. We had an agreement." But no one looked back. And under those same chandeliers where she'd smiled moments before, the wine glass she'd thrown lay in shards, reflecting the dying light. Across the city, Hunter's home was silent. He loosened his tie, poured a glass of water, and watched the headlines begin to roll in on his phone screen. He didn't smile. He didn't gloat. He just read the words, cold, factual, irreversible. Trident cancels $800 million deal with Caldwell Design Group. Black Elm withdraws full investment portfolio. CEO humiliated husband in public hours before collapse. He set the phone face down. The sound of rain began tapping against the windows. Somewhere, deep down, there was still a flicker of sadness. But it wasn't for her, it was for what she had become. The next morning, the world devoured her story. Clips flooded every platform, her laughter, the splash of wine, the frozen silence after. The comments section turned into a firestorm. Power without respect always ends like this. She forgot who built the foundation she stood on. Imagine pouring wine on the man who owned your future. By noon, her company's stock had crashed 48%. Investors fled. Her board demanded answers. Her phone wouldn't stop ringing, except from the one person she needed most. Hunter didn't answer. When she finally showed up at his house, she looked like a ghost of her former self, makeup smudged, hair undone, her designer dress creased from the night before. He opened the door slowly. "Hunter," she said, voice barely holding together, "can I come in?" He stepped aside without a word. Inside, the silence between them felt heavier than anything she'd ever carried. She spoke first, her words tumbling out fast, desperate. "The contract's gone. The funding's gone. Everything's gone wrong. It's like someone just flipped a switch." Hunter didn't reply. He poured her a glass of water and set it on the table. "I can fix it," she insisted. "I'll talk to Trident. To the investors. There's been a misunderstanding." "No misunderstanding," he said quietly. Her voice cracked. "You're scaring me." "What do you mean?" He turned toward her, his tone calm, absolute. "I gave the order." She froze. Her body went cold. "You what?" "I built Caldwell Design Group. Every investor, every connection, it all came from me. Through Black Elm. Through trust accounts you never cared to ask about." Her eyes filled with tears. "I didn't know." "You didn't care to," he interrupted. "You were too busy proving you didn't need me." She shook her head, reaching for him. "I was angry, Hunter. I said things I didn't mean." He stepped back. "You said exactly what you meant." Her knees weakened. "Please, don't do this. We can rebuild together." "No," he said, voice steady. "You can't rebuild what you destroyed." Days turned into weeks. Caldwell Design Group collapsed in slow motion. Clients withdrew. Reporters camped outside her condo. Once celebrated magazine covers turned into scandal headlines. She tried to call every contact she'd ever made, but doors kept closing, one after another. the charity board revoked her membership. Her PR team resigned. And the same luxury circles that once adored her now whispered her name like a cautionary tale. She walked the downtown streets alone, her heels clicking on wet pavement, passing billboards that once bore her image. A stranger's phone lit up nearby, her face on a viral video thumbnail. She turned away quickly, heart pounding. Everywhere she went, her downfall followed. One evening, she met her former assistant at a cafe. The young woman hesitated before sitting down. "Everyone's saying he planned it," the assistant whispered. "Planned what?" Olivia asked. "The whole thing. The contract, the funding, even the press coverage. He just waited for you to show the world who you really were." Olivia's throat tightened. "You think he wanted me to fail?" The assistant looked down. "No. I think he wanted you to remember." The words stayed with her for days. Meanwhile, Hunter kept to himself. He returned to his quiet life, early mornings, long runs, quiet dinners. When reporters reached out, he said nothing. When business partners congratulated him, he only said, "It's done." But inside, he knew justice wasn't about revenge. It was about clarity. He hadn't destroyed her. She had done that the moment she believed kindness was weakness. Months later, she found herself outside his office building, clutching a small envelope. Inside was a letter she'd written 100 times before finally getting it right. It said only 3 words, "I am sorry." She waited by the door, but he didn't come out. A security guard approached gently. "Mr. Caldwell doesn't take personal messages here, ma'am." She nodded, left the envelope, and walked away under the falling snow. Behind her, the city lights flickered across the glass towers, silent witnesses to what pride had cost her. That night, news broke that Black Elm Capital had donated $10 million to a scholarship fund for underprivileged women in architecture, under a name she had once claimed as her own, the Caldwell Foundation. She saw the announcement on her phone and broke down, not from anger but from understanding. Hunter had turned her downfall into something good. Something lasting. But for her, redemption came with a price. Caldwell Design Group filed for bankruptcy. Her assets were seized. Her penthouse sold. The empire she'd built on arrogance had finally turned to dust. Still, in the quiet corners of her new apartment, a modest space in a small Toronto neighborhood, she kept one framed photo on her desk. It was from years ago, before the fame, before the money, when Hunter had helped her draw the first sketches of her dream office on the back of a diner napkin. Every morning, she looked at that photo before starting over, this time with humility. Yet the world didn't forget. When she passed by construction sites, she sometimes overheard workers whispering her name. "That's her, the woman who poured wine on her husband." They didn't say it with cruelty anymore. Just disbelief. Because everyone knew what came next. Across town, in a boardroom overlooking Lake Ontario, Hunter stood before a new team of architects, announcing a groundbreaking partnership to rebuild urban housing for struggling communities. Reporters called it Canada's most compassionate design initiative. When asked about the inspiration, he simply said, "Respect builds more than buildings. It builds people." As snow fell outside, Olivia watched the press conference from a cafe window, unseen. She smiled faintly, not with bitterness, but with something closer to peace. She whispered his name once, softly. Then stood, paid her bill, and walked out into the snow. Each step left a trail behind her, proof that sometimes, losing everything is how you find what truly matters. And yet, for the world watching, her story wasn't over. Because the same video that destroyed her career was still spreading, new viewers, new comments, new lessons. Every share carried the same reminder, never underestimate the quiet ones. Somewhere out there, someone else would see her mistake and choose differently. And that, perhaps, was the only redemption she would ever truly earn. Morning sunlight broke through the thin clouds over Lake Ontario, washing the skyline in soft gold. In his office, Hunter watched the reflection of the city shimmer across the window. For the first time in years, he wasn't thinking about business, contracts, or revenge, only peace. Somewhere across town, Olivia was rebuilding from the ground up, not as a CEO but as a woman learning to stand again. No cameras, no applause, just quiet work and the weight of lessons learned. Hunter closed the final folder on his desk, the one stamped Caldwell Foundation. He smiled faintly. Life had come full circle. What began with arrogance ended with purpose. People often talk about success as winning over others, but sometimes, the real victory is choosing not to destroy when you have the power to. Outside, the wind carried the sound of construction, new buildings, new beginnings. Hunter turned off the lights and walked toward the door, leaving behind not triumph, but balance. Because truth always rebuilds what pride tries to ruin. If this story moved you, hit like, share it with someone who believes in second chances, and subscribe to Canada's Heartfelt Tales for more stories that remind us what really matters.